The one thing this AAA gaming industry loves more than money is creating new opportunities to make money. We've come a far way in this last decade with how video games are monetized. We went from you buy a game and maybe there's some post-launch expansions or DLC packs that you can purchase, but that's really about it. Nowadays though, you can buy a game and then there's season passes, loot boxes, an in-game store, multiple versions, special limited time offers, battle passes, in-game advertisements, virtual currency, esports, and so on and so forth. This industry is not and will not slow down. To satisfy precious investors, these gaming giants, which are only giants because of unsustainable greed, will have to create new business opportunities, which basically means more ways to convince players to give them money. Electronic Arts is already paving the way for that. Their dream has not changed, and I've been consistent with this belief for years now. They want all of their big non-sports franchises, Battlefield and Battlefront, having FIFA Ultimate Team-like monetization systems. The Star Wars Battlefront 2 loot box debacle that occurred in late 2017 was a punch in the guts to the executives of Electronic Arts, but don't believe for a second that they actually learned from that mess. What they have realized is exactly what I ultimately feared. With creating more monetization mechanics in their big non-sports franchises, they will need to be more careful and slow with how they introduce these mechanics. Normalize the greed until people or players just don't care anymore. This is a strategy that much of this industry has enabled, and it has worked. Most players have given up on the mobile and free-to-play market, and even with console gaming, you have franchises like FIFA, Madden, and Call of Duty, which know they can practically get away with anything. But I bring all of this up because the one challenge to EA's ultimate plan is government regulation, and we're starting to see lawmakers worldwide getting very serious about the predatory business models that these gaming publishers force on players. Recently, we discussed the UK's Digital Culture, Media and Sport Committee's report on the gaming industry, which slammed publishers like Electronic Arts and recommended a ban on loot boxes. Today we're going to be examining EA's response and their real dream that they wish to achieve long term. Additionally, another non-sports game from Electronic Arts, Anthem, is nearly abandoned, but it looks like developer BioWare have finally unveiled plans to scale back on promised post-launch content in order to focus on quote-unquote core issues, which, I'm going to be honest, I just don't buy what BioWare's leadership is trying to sell at this point. But before we get to all of that, if you do enjoy this content and want to show your support for gaming news like this, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing for more, and turning notifications on so you do not miss out on any new content. Nonetheless, we're going to start with Anthem, which really has just been one heck of a ride these last number of months. We've gone from the launch, which the game was originally met to very mixed reviews, with sales that were not at all impressive or up to EA's extremely high expectations, but also right at launch, Anthem suffered from a lot of problems, including a lack of endgame content, some serious technical issues that lingered, and a loot system which really could be described as broken. Then Kotaku published an inside report exposing the horrendous development of Anthem, which mirrors Mass Effect Andromeda. This report really shined a light on how much BioWare's leadership have failed and even lied to players, but following that, promised post-launch content including the Cataclysm was delayed, which enraged the community, especially considering the lack of communication coming from BioWare. And then finally last month, the lead developer and really the face of Anthem departed from the studio once the Cataclysm event began, which in all honesty could be the final major content for Anthem. Does this franchise have a future? I really just don't know that anyone is wanting or caring for an Anthem 2, especially considering how boring the story, characters, world, and lore is compared to other BioWare franchises. Don't get me wrong, Anthem does some things right, especially with flying mechanics and customization, but that really is about it. Every game has the potential to be good or special, but it doesn't always pan out that way, especially live service experiences which feel very hit and miss. But just the other day, Chad Robertson, the head of live service at BioWare, announced some significant changes to Anthem's future content. Remember, on the roadmap for this game, originally there were 3 acts. The first act was supposed to cover the first 90 days and included the Cataclysm coming in May, but obviously that ended up being delayed alongside other content to early August, just a few months late. For a while now, many including myself have pondered if we would see these 2 other acts come to fruition. I say that because we all know Electronic Arts' reputation of pulling the plug on things that are not making enough money. And also, I mean, these 2 other acts seem to hint at more story and lore content, which is definitely a costly task for a game that not too many people are playing anymore. Now, to the changes announced, Robertson said in a blog post on BioWare's website, "We're nearing the end of the Cataclysm, so I wanted to talk about what's coming for Anthem," and he would proceed briefly touching on the Cataclysm and how it increased player engagement, which makes them, I guess, excited to continue on. Next, moving past some stuff he adds about the Cataclysm public test server, he proceeds to state, "So what's next for Anthem? We hear your concerns on core issues in Anthem and are acting on it. Those systems require a more thorough review and reworking versus quick fixes. We've got a team working on that now, and early results are promising. In order to address these long-range plans, we are moving away from the act structure for updates. Instead, we have additional seasonal updates planned for this year that we think players will enjoy. These events will deliver challenges and chases similar to what you've seen and are built around some fun themes we're bringing to the game. As I've said previously, we want to be transparent with you that we know more work needs to be done to make Anthem better. We also want to ensure we're backing up our words with a great game you can play. So I don't have any news today to share about the long-term changes we are bringing to Anthem. What I can say is that we will continue to engage with you, our community, through PTS, the public test server, when we can show you what is coming. Stronger together." The problem I have with this response is that focusing on core issues 7 months after release and ditching the promised content for likely much smaller seasonal content, also I mean just this year, we don't even know if there's going to be anything in 2020, it just seems to be BioWare and EA both trying to slowly move away from Anthem and focus on the next live service opportunity, which will be Dragon Age 4. Additionally, core issues is a very broad label, but I'd assume this refers to the game's loot system, which has been a problem since day one. And months ago, when BioWare announced delaying content like the Cataclysm, they said they were working on it, which I guess not enough progress has been made on it, so now they need to just focus on this massive day one problem 7 months later, I guess? But yeah, nothing says being transparent with your community by essentially not sharing news about long-term plans other than canceling the original planned acts. So, earlier this month, BioWare GM Casey Hudson also released an update on Anthem, which said a whole lot of nothing, except emphasizing they believe in Anthem, have a long-term vision of the game, and hope to grow and evolve its world for years to come. Oh, and lots of developers apparently are still working on the game. Additionally, just about a week ago, Anthem was added to EA's subscription services, in which, as Kotaku writes, EA Access and Origin Access subscribers are able to download and play the base game for free as of today across PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, with Origin Premier customers who already had access to the base game getting upgraded to the fancier Legion of Dawn edition instead. Look, EA and BioWare can claim they are committed to Anthem. It seems that's what BioWare's leadership has spent this entire month doing, but quite frankly, I just don't believe it for a second. Maybe they aren't completely abandoning it because of the bad PR that they know they would receive like they did with Mass Effect Andromeda, but certainly it appears they are slowly but surely moving on from Anthem. And is that a bad thing? At this point, probably not, but for the few thousand left playing and hoping for this game to have a massive resurgence, that day is not coming, and more than likely Anthem's development and post-launch support will continue to slow down. Now, moving on to our next big subject, we have EA's response to the UK's Digital Culture, Media and Sport Committee's report, which essentially recommended a ban on loot boxes, something that the gaming industry was not happy about, releasing a pretty dumb statement which states that they disagree with the UK's findings because it doesn't match up with what their wallets demand, and additionally they claim because they show loot box odds, it represents their commitment to players and parents, which I just find that laughable. The gaming industry still doesn't want to take this issue seriously, instead believing they can play dumb, but unfortunately the evidence that has and is coming about is pretty clear that those loot boxes that are essentially virtual slot machines are, what a surprise, akin to gambling, not surprise toys or baseball cards or Kinder Eggs or whatever. I made a 24-minute video breaking down this UK committee report. If you missed it, I highly recommend that you check it out, but I will quickly highlight some of the most notable lines. This UK committee states loot box mechanics are integral to major game companies' revenues, and evidence that they facilitate profiting from problem gamblers should be of serious concern to the industry. We recommend that working through the PEGI Council and all other relevant channels, the UK government advises PEGI to apply the existing gambling content labeling and corresponding age limits to games containing loot boxes that can be purchased for real-world money and do not reveal their contents before purchase. And additionally, we recommend recommend that loot boxes that contain the element of chance should not be sold to children playing games, and instead, in-game credits should be earned through rewards won through playing the games. This report is and has been massive, which could have a damaging effect to the business models of giant game publishers like Activision Blizzard and Electronic Arts. Interestingly, as I explored in my 24-minute video, a big portion of this report concentrated on EA's greed with the FIFA Ultimate Team mode, and how EA has tried to relabel loot boxes falsely and deliberately as surprise mechanics. Well, speaking to GamesIndustry.biz, EA responded, as you might expect, they were not happy with this report. A spokesperson saying in a statement, "We have reviewed and are closely considering the findings of the DCMS committee report. While we don't agree with all of the conclusions and recommendations in the report, we do take our responsibilities to players of all ages very seriously. We have an ongoing commitment to player safety and well-being whenever they are playing our games or engaging in our communities. We will continue to look at how we can contribute to productive research and solutions for the topics raised in this report, and we look forward to continuing our ongoing dialogue with the UK government." To break down this response in just a few words, EA basically downplays the damage they have inflicted on families and doesn't get specific with what they disagree with, which is most likely this entire report. The way EA wants to handle this is behind the scenes. They know going public with their position will just create more uproar and outrage, which, that'll create more eyes, maybe more government eyes, more lawmaker eyes, and they don't want any of that. Heck, one of their most notable responses defending their greed has landed a Guinness World Record for most downvoted comment in Reddit history. But the Entertainment Software Association, which represents much of this gaming industry, including Electronic Arts, is spending big bucks lobbying in favor of loot boxes, which will generate $50 billion by 2022. And I'll be honest with all of you, money talks, and it certainly can change lawmakers' opinion. As we discussed recently, EA is pushing forward with their dream of turning all of their franchises into FIFA Ultimate Team-like business models. They now have their guy to lead them forward with David Rudder, overseer of the FIFA franchise and senior vice president and general manager of EA Sports Vancouver and Bucharest, being promoted and now managing over franchises that include Battlefield, Star Wars Battlefront, and Need for Speed. Star Wars Battlefront 2 was the beginning of EA's attempt to have their non-sports franchises adapt Ultimate Team-like monetization systems. That obviously failed big time back then and put those hopes and dreams on pause, but now EA is pushing forward. Once again, although their next obstacle will be government regulation worldwide over the gambling mechanics which have made them billions of dollars in profit. As I've stated many times in the past, since 2016 most of EA's non-sports games have been sales disappointments, and you have to believe they wish to find a way to ensure they are still making boatloads of money even if a game like Anthem doesn't meet expectations. How they do that is with expanding post-launch monetization, which will be the focus and probably the job that David Rudder has been tasked with. But yeah, it's unfortunate where this industry's focus is these days with monetization over quality, and that will continue to get worse. These unfinished live service experiences are not going to slow down. If anything, we will get to see more of them in the years to come. Battlefield 5 since release has been a mess. It's still played daily by many, but DICE has fumbled post-launch support, with players still to this day upset with the lack of major content and pointing out promised content that just never came to be, although it's still on EA's website. Honestly, with that last sentence I said, you could probably say the exact same thing about BioWare's Anthem. But moving forward, I expect more disappointing, rushed experiences like these games to continue to be pumped out by Electronic Arts. Although the one difference is that monetization will definitely be handled with priority and care. When Activision has an off year with their yearly Call of Duty, they quite simply just up the predatory monetization, not caring at all about backlash, because they know that the online outrage won't hurt their bottom line and it won't last, as their players will cry out about their greed for a little bit but continue playing the game, and you better believe EA's executives want that same option. Now, to wrap all of this up, at this point it really is difficult to see much of a future ahead for Anthem, as it appears EA and BioWare are slowly moving on, while trying to make it seem like they're still committed to this game and franchise, although once you cancel significant content, it's kind of quite clear what's happening. Additionally, EA's Battlefield Ultimate Team dream pushes forward, although with government scrutiny growing worldwide, that could be what ultimately puts an axe in EA's big money-making feature. Anyway, what do you make of Anthem in its current state, and do you think the United Kingdom will actually take action against loot boxes? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, and make sure to follow my other social media accounts for updates on new videos. videos. Links are always down in the description below. I'm most active on Twitter, giving opinions on news that I do not always get into video form, so make sure to follow me over there. Also check out my Discord for all sorts of discussion on games. And again, thank you for joining. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.